Hello again, and welcome to Powered Up Festival, hosted and organised by Ideas Powered. So, today we're talking about the importance of building and protecting your personal brand. And to help us do so, we're joined by Danish storyteller Jonas Togo, who joins me now from Copenhagen. Jonas is a filmmaker and photographer who's worked with some of the biggest companies in the world. He's going to tell us a little bit more about it shortly, from Google to Samsung. But Jonas, welcome to Powered Up Festival. How's it going?
I'm good, man. It's still summer here in Copenhagen, so yeah, it feels we are getting the last few days of sun, and then the heat is starting to come.
Well, enjoy it while you can. I think you've got that beautiful Danish sunshine streaming in, so yeah, make the most of it. But I'm going to dive straight in with the questions because this is one of the sessions that our community was really excited about. So I want to start with talking about your personal journey, Jonas. So, how did you get from someone who was interested in photography to ending up starting a career in filmmaking? How did you get started, and how did you get to where you are today?
I think mainly why I did start was that I used to study physiotherapy because I'm a lot into fitness and sports and like knowing how the body works. And then suddenly at a point, I think I was 24, I came to think about like what kind of decisions I wanted to make in life, and mainly where it can be easier for you to make your own decisions if you go freelance and if you do something on your own. And back then, I think social media was really booming. So what way could I work with that and then talk to more people online? And then I picked up the interest in doing photography, mainly architecture, and eventually trying to figure out, okay, so now you have a little personal brand, you post your photos on Instagram, so how do you make money and how do you make a living out of it? And that's just where you started to message people on this platform, and you did mails and you ask your friends, do you know anyone within this industry, etc., etc. And that has gotten me to where I am now, where it's a little bit different setup because now I'm leading in a company in our branding and the marketing department, but still within the creative area of photography, pictures, text, videos. Yeah.
Cool. And in a world where social media is obviously such a hugely crowded market, what is it in particular that you looked at to try and create your own style with your own values that set you apart from everybody else online? Basically, how did you go about that?
It was mainly I think it was not a competition. I would say, but within the photography aspect, like who could create the most beautiful photos in a certain way. Like, is it nature? Is it architecture? Can you travel different places and show monuments or countries from different aspects, and then create your style into it? Like, what kind of colors do you use? What kind of text do you put under your photos? Like, can you create theme around this creative world that you are doing? And that was what I started to do. And I think my main thought was always, as you also introduced me as, was to tell a story from where you were, because everybody else can do these photos, and if you have a good editor, you can also edit, like in a way with the colors and stuff. So that was my main thought of, like, you have to tell a story around this for other people to think that it's interesting to follow.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it's not just about the content; it's also about the person behind the content, which is key, really. And for you now, I know that you're trying to move into a slightly different direction and launch your own clothing brand quite soon. How would you say the experiences that you've had building your personal brand will help you to build an actual brand? Is there a lot of parallels there, and how will you go about starting it?
I think there's definitely going to be a advantage, in terms of, like, I know how create marketing material and knowing how to do photography and videography, and now when you want to sell online and you want to present what you know of, then photos and videos and text is just key. I would say to let people to know about your brand, and also working with bigger companies like Google and HBO and Samsung, and trying to create campaigns around that, I think is going to help me a lot when I have to think of a branding strategy. But where I do lack a lot, is in the whole way of doing design. How should you cut clothing like this? Why do you have these different sizes within the men's area of whatever? So that's where I need help. But that's what I also learned, that you can't do anything on your own. And yeah, so that's where I need some assistance.
Great, exciting times. In terms of building brands, because obviously within the clothing sector as well, the protection of the brand is absolutely crucial. So as a young entrepreneur and a young storyteller, how much have you known about the importance of protecting a brand in terms of registering a trademark and protecting your own original ideas? Has that been something that you've had to explore yourself, or is that come naturally? How's it been for you?
It's definitely been like a eye opener. I remember because when we did the conference with you guys 2 years ago, then we actually started to work with the with the office in Denmark, where you are going to register your trademarks and stuff. So we did a little campaign there where we heard about others' experience. There was a guy who did watches, like watch designs, and then he was facing multiple online sellers who just took his brand and then they made a cheap copy and then just sent it online. And then because he wasn't known enough within that brand, people thought that it was him. So, if you see fake Adidas clothes or Nike clothing or whatever, you know that it's not theirs because they have a resume and a story. But if you are starting out and someone takes your idea and then try to push it, then I think if you don't have your stuff trademarked yet, then that's a huge risk if they are going to push it in a direction that you don't want because it's not you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of parallels, I think, you regarding protection. In terms of obviously big business and branding, it's hugely important. But say you mentioned earlier on about trying to create your own style of storytelling, especially in the early days on social media. Were you ever worried that other people would try and copy that style, or have they? And how do you go about ensuring that people know that it's your style and it can't be taken by anybody else?
But I think that was also the main, now say, issue for a lot of people, right? Because then you would think that, okay, somebody copied my idea, and like you can't do that, and so on, so on. So you can definitely try to say, or just to push out to make people remember that I was the one who did it. And I remember it when you did some big commercial or some campaigns, and then it was really important for me to say, like, you need to give me the credit. I need to be the owner of the video, just for me to know, and then I need to push it enough so that people know that I did it. But it's true that when you are doing stuff where you're creating a t-shirt or whatever, then it's a little bit more difficult to protect. But I think, like, when I was younger, like if my friends went to Thailand or something, I would always ask them to buy, fake.
I think we've just lost the audio on you, Jonas. Just give us 1 second. See if we can get you back. Sorry, try again.
It works there?
There we go. We're back.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I think what I was trying to say back then, like, can you remember Evisu?
I do, the little squiggly jean company, yeah.
Yeah. And because I remember as a young kid, like all of us wanted them in school, so we bought like some fake stuff in Thailand, and it lasted for one time in the washing machine, and then it was gone. So I think that the world is definitely also more. They think more about the products that they buy, so that to buy fake products is not as huge of a deal as it was before. I think now it's mainly about like when you make fake products that is gonna, have a negative impact on the environment, and that's where you need to be very good at knowing that you only bought the product from my website. You can't buy it anywhere else. So yeah, I think that's how I would think of it in the first place.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think you're right that the world's changing and people are thinking a lot more consciously about where they're buying and how they're buying. And would you say, as a young entrepreneur and a young creator, that when you were first starting out, was intellectual property protection, so understanding that you're buying a real brand rather than a fake brand, that was something that you didn't really think about? But do you think now your colleagues are thinking a lot more about this and protecting their ideas and protecting their brands? Is that something that's growing, do you think?
Definitely. And I think it's really important, like when you build a huge business now, and when you build or you create something that you've put a lot of thought into, because as we just see now, like over the years, like more and more products have been made, more great ideas are being made. So it's going to be more and more difficult to develop something new that you can get people, to get involved in that community. So when you then have it, and you say like, now I have this idea, now I have the brand, I have the logo, I have all this, then I would say that you should make a huge effort to get it trademark registered, because why not? Like, you don't lose anything by doing it, and then you're safe within that space if you see people start to copy you. And yeah, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, great. I must mention now also that there is so much support for young people if they are looking to register brands and get their trademarks registered. We'll put some links in the comments below because there's some great initiatives around at the moment. We are pushed for time a little bit, Jonas, so I'm going to have to wrap it up. But I'm really keen to know at the end, just if there's some young people who are in the position that you were in 5, 6, 7 years ago. They've got their camera, they've got their their phone out, and they're looking to get into videography and photography and build their own personal brand. What little key insights and bits of advice could you give to them, do you think?
I think it's a starting point where you would just maybe focus on, to say, quantity, like just produce as much as you can, like, and do your work for free. Like, I know that a lot of the stuff you do now have to be valued with money and stuff like that, but you can't buy some of the experiences that a camera can give you if you get with the right people. You like sports, music, culture, whatever, you'll be able to travel anywhere in the world. And then when you've done that and you are at a point where it could be anyone that is in your position, that's where quality have to take over. So the stuff that you are making have to be different, or you have to think about how can you create a identity for yourself. But that's definitely what I would say. And don't be too picky and thinking about the money and so on, because I've been places with my camera that I'll never be able to afford in my life. So that's the money I made from those trips.
That's great advice. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested in knowing more about your story and more about you, Jonas. So we're going to put the links to your socials and your show reel in the comments below, so people can check you out and give you a shout to get to know a little bit more. But listen, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the final days of the Danish summer.
I will, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jonas. Take care.
See you, Steve. Talk to you soon, man.
Bye bye.